Welcome everybody. We are cooking again today. It's another Wednesday. It's another episode of Jeremy McBee Cooks. Hope you like my new haircut. Got a new do going for you guys. So why don't we go ahead and just dive in, and I'll start explaining where we are in the process. It's a pretty long process to make homemade chicken noodle soup, especially if you make your own chicken stock, which is the first thing that I did. And it takes a good 4+ hours. So I got it started early this afternoon, and it's been going for a while and looking and smelling great. I'm gonna give you guys a look at that, and then what we're gonna do first is drain that into a bowl and set it aside so that we now have our chicken stock. So let's do that really quick. Let me go to the stove top, show you guys that. Okay, here is our chicken stock that we currently have. What we're doing right now is just skimming the top surface for any unwanted bits of fat that has been released from some of the chicken bones that we have in here. And we also want to get rid of just any bad nutrients that have kind of worked their way to the top. It's a very common step in the process when making any kind of stock. The same thing with fish stock. If you make a fish stock with a bunch of shells and shrimp and different things like that, you'll have the same thing where you want to skim the top. Otherwise, it makes your stock really cloudy, which you don't really want. At this point, we're actually doing pretty good. There's not too much of that going on anymore because I've been kind of passing by throughout the day and picking at some of this. It's kind of, when you see it, it'll be kind of a white foamy spot that you just want to take out. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. I think we're just about ready to drain this, which is great. So let me come back to the live scene. So like I said, I spent about 4 or 5 hours working on the stock earlier today. I'm gonna show you guys some pictures of that and give you an idea of what the kind of the process of making this stock. So let's go ahead and start with this slide. See if it starts at the beginning. Yes, it does. So here's the whole chicken that I use. About 3.5 to 4 pounds, whole chicken. Cut it up, sliced it up, portioned it out with the legs and the breasts and the wings. Set those aside. That's good meat. Then I took the backbone and I took the carcass out. And with that, I chopped it up into different pieces, as you see. This was the meat that I then would sear, and you'll see in a moment what I do with that. Set that aside though, separate all that. These are the vegetables I used. The leeks, carrots, celery. I'll explain the rest of those ingredients later. And then there's a little happy smiley face for you, because we're all excited about making chicken noodle soup, right? So I heated up some vegetable oil in the cast iron Dutch oven. Heat some vegetable oil, got it nice and hot. Then I seared the bones, all the carcass and the backbone pieces. I seared it on both sides, as you see. Seared it all. Then I added you don't have to do this, you can kind of be creative with how you want to do it, but I added the turkey legs in there to give it more flavor. Then started gradually adding the vegetables to the stock. Continued adding vegetables to the stock. And then I added my herbs, which I'll explain what those are later. And then I added water and let it simmer. Let it start to simmer, and then I really just let it go. Once it starts simmering, I just let it go and try to control it, keep it no more than a simmer for 4+ hours. And that's now the product that we have now. It's worked its way down and we have the juices of that. So let's go back to the live scene. All right, so before we get started, I'm gonna go ahead and make a quick drink, and then we're going to get started. So, and what I'll do first is show you guys the recipe, kind of give you an idea of all the vegetables that I used. and kind of the overall process of this chicken noodle soup. So I hope you guys are having a nice Wednesday. I hope you've had a good week so far. Let me, oh, by the way, this hat was given to me by Maureen and Ava. Unfortunately, it's a little bit tight on my head, so I at least haven't figured out how to make it work on my head yet. So I at least wanted to make it to be a part of the show, though, because it's a very nice hat, and I think it works really well. So thank you, Ava and Maureen, for that. That was very, very nice. Okay. So, I actually did a cooking class on Sunday with Ava and her mom, Maureen, who may be watching right now, I'm not sure, and with Jamie. And we went to Sur La Table and did a Paris Cafe dinner. And it was cool. We reverse seared some, I think they were New York strips. And then we made some French fries. And we partially made an aioli, but for the French fries, but unfortunately, Sur La Table didn't exactly have their SHIT together, and we weren't able to finish the aioli because they had the recipe wrong, which is kind of embarrassing on their part. But we had a lot of fun, and then we got to watch the chef make, I think it was some type of mousse or a dessert, kind of a souffle type thing, which was really, really good, but it's just too bad we weren't able to join in on the fun of making it. But we had a great time, and cooking classes are always good because you always learn something. And if you don't necessarily learn something new, you at least have a little bit more practice doing something that maybe or a little bit more validation that you're doing things the right way or maybe the wrong way. So I think they're great. Practice. Great learning opportunity. All right. So get this stuff out of the way and then we'll be going. So along with this soup, we're gonna be making some grilled cheese, but it's gonna be, I've actually never made this particular grilled cheese before. I thought since we're doing a fancy chicken noodle soup, why don't we do a fancy grilled cheese? So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Because, you know, grilled cheese is just too good not to have fun with it. So that's what we're gonna do. All right. All right. Let's get this out of the way. And let's get started. All right. Cheers, everybody. Happy Wednesday. So, let's go ahead and drain this stock. Drain it into the bowl, and then we can really get started. All right, so I'm just pouring this into the colander. And it has a large bowl underneath it where it's gonna capture all this stock. Now the way I made this stock, it makes it pretty dark. Have a little bit darker stock. And what causes that is browning the meat at the beginning. If you want a lighter stock, what you want to do is just go ahead and start boiling your water and then put the meat in. Don't brown it. That will keep your stock a little bit lighter. All right, so we'll set this aside for a minute. Rinse it. want to get every drop that you can get in there, because we worked really hard on making this, and we don't want any liquid going to waste. All right, I think we're good, just about. Well, still got some. Just a little bit more. Almost got it out. Okay. So I'll give you a quick look. As you can see, here's all the stuff that we took out. All the things that I just showed you a little bit earlier that I prepared. And then here's our stock. All that work for this much, but it's gonna count, I promise you. So we have our stock here. We're gonna just leave that there for now. And now we can move on to the next step. All right, so I'm gonna move this over here. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is heat up some olive oil in this pan over here. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of olive oil in here. Just like a couple tablespoons, just to coat the bottom of the pot. And we're gonna heat that up until it starts to shimmer. Shimmer, shimmer. Shimmer down. Right. So, got that going. And then we're going to add our onions. That's gonna be the next step. We're gonna start preparing our actual soup. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys the recipe really quick and give you an idea while the oil is heating up. Give you guys an idea. I'm gonna show you guys the recipe really quick. Yes, yes, definitely a haircut. Cheers. Yep. Still trying to get used to it. I like the haircut, but nice hat. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Maureen and Ava, for the hat. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's look at the recipe now. All right, so for the chicken stock, like I showed you guys earlier, and I'll show you again at least once or twice, we cut up a whole chicken and we took out the backbone and the carcass, and we cut it all those pieces up. The bones, the carcass, the backbone, all of it. And we set that aside to use for our stock. Then we cut up some celery, carrots, leeks, parsnips, onions, just cut an onion in half basically. Same thing with the garlic, just cut it right in half. And we use some vegetable oil, we use some fresh thyme, some fresh parsley, and some whole peppercorns. That's all that we used in that pot that I just drained. That was all for the chicken stock. Those are all the ingredients that were in there. So now what we're getting ready to do is the actual soup. So for the soup, we now have our chicken stock. Now, and I've already pre-cut just about everything, so we can really have some fun. You don't have to sit around watching me cut. What we're gonna do is we're gonna immediately add onion, and then we're gonna gradually add the vegetables in, and then you can watch as we go from there. So that gives you kind of a breakdown. I'll give you a quick look at the pictures again too, if you missed it. I did a whole chicken, and I cut it up, as you'll see here. Cut it up, I cut the legs off, the breasts, the wings, dismembered it, took the backbone out and the carcass, And then I cut the backbone and carcass up because it creates the flavor in the stock. So it's very important to have that if you can. So then I'd set that aside. Obviously I washed the board and then got the vegetables out, and we have turnips, we have parsnips, we have leeks, celery, carrots, and then I cut it all up and made it into a nice smiley face for all of you because we all like smiley faces. Okay, and then we heated up the pot with vegetable oil, and as you can guess, we added in the meat. We seared it on both sides. That's what gives it a darker, rich color for the stock. If you want a lighter stock, like a lot of the stock that you get at the grocery store, you just immediately start your water and then gradually add things in, like the vegetables and the meat. You don't do any searing. The searing is what creates the richer flavor and, oh crap, richer flavor. Okay, I need to get the onions going. So you can take a look at that while I, ow. Got a little hot on me. The pan. Coming down. Man, that's one thing about this burner. Man, it gets freaking hot as you wouldn't believe. All right. So we are going to let these onions cook a little bit, soften up a bit, and then we're going to add more of our vegetables at that point. All right, so you've had a look at everything here, got an idea. We've got our onions cooking, and we're going to let those cook for a little bit, and then we're going to add the other vegetables that we have. Let's get it all nice and cozy in here. It's a nice candle. All right, let's go back. And glad you like the jazz music. Okay, what are we? Let me double check. Keep an eye on this. Okay, so we're doing good. What I'm going to do is let's check these onions. All right, I think those are just about where we want them. All right, so our onions have cooked through nicely. Now, I'll show you, we're gonna add these veggies. So in here we have parsnips, we have, what is it? In here we have parsnips, we have, I'm not blanking, turnip. Parsnip, turnip, carrots, celery, all four of those things. So we're gonna add that in here. And we're going to gradually let those cook down over the next few minutes. And make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. Okay, so now we've added quite a bit of color to the pot. And we're just going to let all of that mingle and soften for the next few minutes before we move on to the next step. So the next step, once these soften, then we're going to put the chicken stock that we just drained, we're gonna pour that in with these vegetables, and then we're really gonna be moving. The chicken stock that we just drained, moving along nicely with these vegetables. Yeah, so we're just gonna probably just a couple minutes, not too long. Turn this up a little bit. So if you guys get a chance, tomorrow night I'll be performing a Jackson Browne special. Jeremy McBee performs Thursday night, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, facebook.com/JCMcBeemusic. And yeah, I'll be playing a lot of his hits, some that you may not know, but I think it'll be a good mix of his songs, and he's one of my favorites. Jackson Browne has always been one of my favorite musicians. I mean, just when you think about his songwriting, his lyrics, his musicianship, whatever, his voice, and just overall charisma, he's a legend in the music world. He has a lot of just fantastic songs. His first 3 or 4 albums were just great. They really were. He has that sound too where, you know, you can kind of get pumped up by his music, but you know, you can also definitely chill and relax to his music, which is one of my favorite things to do. We actually have a handful of his records, and we like to put it on the turntable every once in a while and listen to him. So I'll be doing that tomorrow night, if you guys get a chance to peek your heads in, pop your heads in, watch a little bit. All right, so these are starting to soften a bit. I'm just gonna let that continue for a few more minutes. And we'll go back to the live scene. You guys can see this lovely hat. Okay, are you guys still getting feedback? Is that happening right now? Like your voice repeats in background. All right, well, if anybody else is dealing with that, please let me know. All right. You know, it's funny, I was just recently thinking I would like to figure out a way to try to stage this area that's in the camera view. And sure enough, this hat I think is going to be a great addition for trying to stage this little setup here, because I think it works perfectly. So thank you again, Ava and Maureen, that was very nice. So what are you, yeah, it repeats a lot quieter about 5 seconds after. Huh. No more feedback, okay. But it's not at the same volume. Is it, so is it not, it's not doing it now though, right? I wonder, it might be something with, I'm not gonna screw around with it too much this time, but I'll have to figure out what it was for the next time. But there must be some kind of double audio going on here. Check. Oh. Let me check something, because this is showing it's in stereo and it's supposed to be in mono. That might be why. No, it's saying it's down next to mono, so I'm not sure. Let me know if it becomes a problem. All right. So we're getting close. They're definitely starting to soften. Probably give it a couple more minutes. We don't want to over soften it, but we just want to get it to the right spot. So let's go back. It's barely noticeable. I would carry on. Yes, I'm going to. Okay, so what are you guys doing for dinner tonight? Do you have anything planned? Are you already eating? What's the dealio? Okay, so what are you guys doing for dinner tonight? Do you have anything planned? Are you already eating? What's the dealio? Yeah, so let me know. What are you guys doing for dinner? Don't be embarrassed. Yeah, so let me know. What are you guys doing for dinner? Or maybe you're cooking something that's like really badass. Don't be embarrassed. All right, just a little bit longer. I want these to soften just a little bit more. So like I said, the veggies that we have in here right now are carrots, celery, parsnips, and turnips. And we finally chopped the parsnip and turnip, which was actually kind of difficult to do because parsnips and turnips are pretty hard vegetables, just physically. But we cut those finally, and then we cut up an onion, we added that, and then we also cut up celery and carrots. So that's all what's cooking right now with a little bit of olive oil. And then after that all cooks down a little bit more, we're going to add some herbs, so parsley, and then we're going to grate some lemongrass, and we're going to grate some ginger into the pot, and we're gonna do that after we pour the chicken stock. So I think we're ready to pour the chicken stock. Kale gnocchi, nice. Sounds very healthy, but very good, I'm sure. So I think we're ready to pour the chicken stock. All right. Sounds very healthy. So let me change the camera and show you guys the stove. And I'm going to go ahead. I think these are cooked down enough. Yeah, they are. They're just starting to kind of get that soft, overall soft feel. The aromas are coming out of it. Smells delicious. I'm telling you, I know that using a parsnip and using turnips doesn't necessarily sound like a normal thing to do, but after trying it a couple times, I've learned it gives it a really great taste and a really, really great smell. All right, so we're gonna add the chicken stock now. So what we're gonna do is just simply pour our chicken stock into this pot. You can tell it's pretty dark, which is great for chicken noodle soup. All right, so set this aside. And what we want to do now is bring all of this to a simmer. So I'm going to take the heat up a little bit. All right, yeah, so that's the base of our soup so far. Looks good. We're gonna let that simmer. Take the heat up a little bit more. And as it starts to come to a simmer, we're gradually gonna start adding in this parsley and grating in some of that lemongrass and grating in some of that ginger. And then, shortly after that, then we can go ahead and start working on the grilled cheese. All right. Okay, you know what I'm gonna go ahead and get out? I'm gonna go ahead and get out the chicken thighs, because we'll be adding these delicious boneless, skinless chicken thighs to the pot shortly. One of my favorite parts of this recipe are those chicken thighs. All right. So, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding in the parsley. Switch over. All right, we're gonna add this roughly chopped parsley to the mix. As it's starting to come up to a simmer, I'm gonna add all this in. All right. Then, we're going to grate some ginger. It's kind of up to you how much. You don't want too much, but you want enough to notice it. All right, so that's plenty of ginger. Now, a little bit of lemongrass. Little lemongrass goes a long way. Lemongrass is kind of funny sometimes when it grates. That's probably a more precise way of doing this. Ah, yes, that's it. Doofus. Sorry, I'm not a doofus. Ah, yes, that's it. That's right, you're supposed to go from that end. Ah, you know what? I think that's what I think I was supposed to take that off. That's funny. I had a lot of experience with lemongrass, but enough to know the last couple times I've used it, it's definitely added a little bit of nice flavor to it. All right. Get a little bit more. Right. All right. Now let's just mix this together. Ooh, yeah, it smells good. This is good for the soul. That is for sure. All right, so we're gonna let that simmer for a little bit. meantime, we can work on the grilled cheese. Okay. Let's switch back, live scene. Let's get going with the sandwiches. So let me pull up. I've never made this grilled cheese before, but it's really good. All right, so white cheddar brie and white wine. Okay. So what I'm gonna do over here is cube up 6 to 7 ounces of white cheddar and then a little bit of brie. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down a little bit. We just want it to simmer, not boil. So we're just gonna cube that up. Have any of you seen Jackson Browne live before? I have not, but honestly, I would have loved to have seen him if I was born, you know, in the 70s or 80s, but not a huge fan of a lot of his newer stuff. So I just kind of prefer to, and I don't know how much he actually plays a lot of his hits at his concerts. He might. I mean, I'm sure his concerts are great. I just haven't really had much of an opportunity to see him live. Okay, so that's good for that. Kind of an interesting process for this grilled cheese. It's definitely fancy, but you know what? I think it can be fun to do things like this because you learn a little something about how to do things differently, which is fun, I think. All right, so not a lot of brie, just, you also want to remove the rind. You just want to get that middle part. We're gonna do about that much, and then just remove that. Might have to cut it. Just remove that rind. Yeah, that should be good. That's enough. I might add a little bit more actually, just for fun. All right, we got our cheese now. Throw this away. Set this aside. Our soup's good the way it is, just simmering right now for a while. What we're gonna do is we're going to add all of this cheese into this Vitamix here. You know, probably the ideal way to do this would be to use a food processor, but that's why I love these Vitamixes, because you can use them as a blender and you can use them pretty much as a food processor too. So let me bring this around, and then I'm gonna turn the volume off when I use this so it's not incredibly annoying to you guys. So what I'm gonna do before I get started, I'm gonna add the, just double check before I do this. Make sure I'm doing it right. What I'm gonna do before I get started, okay, yeah. I'm gonna add the cheese, the brie and the white cheddar, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of white wine. And also, before I forget, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Here it is, great cloth. Right. So a teaspoon of Dijon and the cheese, and then mix all that up. Then we're gonna add, it calls for shallot. I weirdly could not find a shallot at HEB. I don't know why. So I'm replacing that with sweet onion. All right, so I'm gonna turn the volume off here, and then I will slip a little apple on the sandwich. Nice, yeah. Grilled brie sandwiches. Ooh, that would be good. You're right. It'd be very good. All right, let me take the volume off here real quickly on my end, so I'm not annoyingly loud. Okay. I think that went pretty well. All right, we're moving right along now that that's done. So let's go here. Okay, so we have our blended ingredients here with the cheese. It's almost like a paste. What I'm gonna do, I actually probably should have done that just a second ago, before I did that, but let me, what I'm gonna do, actually probably should, I think what I wanna do now is add the chicken thighs. So let's do that. We have chicken thighs while we with boiling and then chicken thighs and skim off the fat. Okay. All right. So let me show you this. We're gonna add the chicken thighs now. Let's go to the stove top. So let me show you this. And we're just going to add in our chicken thighs, one by one. There's nothing like a chick with nice legs. Just kidding. Nothing like a chick with nice thighs. So these are going to cook for about 10 to 15 minutes in the soup. So we're just going to let those thighs cook for 10 to 15. Then what we're going to do is we're going to skim off fat from the top as they cook. And then we're also going to, once they're cooked, after about 10 to 15 minutes, we'll take them out and we'll shred them with 2 forks. And then we'll put them right back in the soup. And then we're really close to that point. So what I'm gonna do during this time is assemble the sandwiches. So you guys can watch that. Is that cheese in the blender? That is cheese in the blender. That is cheese in the blender. I know it sounds weird. It's a fancy, schmancy grilled cheese. All right, so what we're gonna do is take our bread and we're going to butter the bread. Let's see, I'm going to time this. All right. So, got some nice softened butter. We're going to butter all sides, or not all sides, we're gonna butter the outside of each of these. Nice softened butter. Be generous with it. Butter all sides, or not all sides, we're gonna butter the outside of each of these. Let's set this aside for now. So we'll just butter this up. And we're just using some regular country white bread. Just imagine this grilled cheese. It's like a country boy with sophisticated tastes. Take that however you want to take it, but I think that you know, you got your country bread, country white bread, and then you got your fancy cheese. All right, and then we're gonna do, I'm making quite a few just because we're gonna cut them up and have some small ones with the soup, and then, you know, you never know how many you're gonna want, so. I'm just gonna butter these. Hi, Jeremy. It's such fun to watch you. It's such a good day. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Mimi. Hope you've had a good day. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Mimi. All right. Hope you've had a good day. The reason I'm kind of taking a while with the butter is I've heard that, I'm kind of started to realize that the more even distribution you have of the butter, and if you have it kind of going corner to corner and not really just in the middle, you'll get more of an even toast on it, which is kind of nice. I mean, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning, you wouldn't give a crap about that, but you know, if you're trying to turn grilled cheese into a nice gourmet dinner for you and your spouse, your boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, these little things matter. It could be the deciding factor in winning somebody over. Putting the butter all the way to the edge of the bread. Just crucial do or die situation. I think that's good. Okay, now that we've used almost a whole stick of butter, we got 5 minutes left roughly on the chicken thighs. They are definitely starting to develop some fat that I need to skim off here in a minute at the top. Okay, so what we're gonna do now with these, we're gonna flip them and flip. And flip. And then we're gonna fill the inside of one of these with this mixture. So, again, I've never had this before. I think it's gonna be really good because the person that I got this recipe from is pretty dead on every time that I've experienced, but you know, there's always that chance. So we're just putting this on, let me move this for you. We're just putting this on, you know, one side of each sandwich. We're just putting this on, we're just putting this on, you know, one side of each. Trying to be fair to each one. Create some equal portions. I'm really interested about this grilled cheese. I think it's gonna be good. I mean, I've never done anything like this before, but how can you go wrong? Man, really interested. Kind of a different way to do it, but I've It will be fun to see what the outcome is. And I can use a knife here and even that out here in a second. That. All right. So let's go ahead and smooth that out. Got an interesting texture. Got an interesting texture. It's literally like a cheese spread. It is a cheese spread. All right, 2 more. Good. All right, so our Sammies are pretty much ready to be melted and grilled. They are ready. Ready as they'll ever be. All right. Good. Okay, so we've got these. We're gonna set these over here. And perfect timing. We've got 10 seconds left for the chicken thighs. And then we'll take those out and we'll shred those babies up, put them back in the pot, and then we're moving right along. We're very close to finishing this up. Let me get something to put those in. Let's see. Just get see if so I'll go ahead and show you here. Move this. Yeah, so what we're doing with these, we're just gonna remove the thighs. We're gonna shred them up. And then we're gonna put them right back in. Shred them up. Now, these thighs are not totally cooked completely yet, which is fine, because they're gonna cook. They're gonna continue to cook once we shred them up. And once they go back in, obviously they're gonna continue to cook, so we're we're doing good. I'm just taking them out now, just kind of save a little bit of time. And honestly, I mean, they're just about cooked, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so we're gonna let that continue to simmer on low, and then we're gonna take 2 forks and shred this meat. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Right. So just shred it up into, you know, bite-sized pieces, however big or small you want it for your soup. A little tedious, but not nothing to complain about. Let's get it on. It's a time-consuming dinner, but it's one that, you know, if you're just in the mood for chicken noodle soup, or, you know, if you are vegetarian or you're vegan, then, you know, you can easily change this into something very similar that you could eat. Yeah. I'm sure you could be very creative and make a different type of stock, like a vegetable stock, and then replace the chicken with, you know, obviously something else. Now there was still a little bit of skin left on some of these, so I'm kind of trying to, if I see a little piece that I don't really want going in the soup, then I'll just separate it and put it aside, but thankfully these didn't have too much skin on them, so it's not really a big deal. All right. Chicken thighs are where it's at, that's for sure. They have the flavor. They have the flavor. Chicken thighs are where it's at, that's for sure. They have the flavor. Do you guys have a favorite Jackson Browne song? like quite a few on his first and second albums. Trying to think, it's kind of hard. It's hard for me to answer that one because I like a lot of his songs. Trying to think, it's kind of hard. It's hard for me to answer that one. For Every Man is definitely a good one. Big fan of that one. From Silver Lake is a great one. Looking Into You is a really great song. Obviously, Rock Me on the Water and Dark to My Eyes. I mean, that's just, everybody knows that one. Gradually getting there. I made some chicken and dumplings last night. They were pretty good. It was a different recipe. Well, actually, I've never made chicken dumplings before, but it was a recipe from another person that I like getting recipes from, or at least concepts and ideas from. And it was where there was one dumpling in each bowl, and it was a big dumpling. And it had a different texture to it, but I liked it. It's kind of, you know, it's one that's, it's a good one to have in the back of your back pocket. I think I'd like to find a different type of recipe though that has a little bit more smaller dumplings in there, or just kind of, you know, change that recipe up a bit. But it's kind of one of those things. Chicken and dumplings, I used to grow up having them at a place called Dumplins in downtown Franklin before it shut down. They had really great chicken and dumplings, and these great rolls, just fresh and soft and big. And they would oftentimes serve it, or you'd order it with fruit tea. It was very popular in Franklin and Nashville, and I think just in the South in general, but they made some really great fruit tea that just went, you know, it's got to win in Rome. It was just went really well with the chicken and dumplings and the maybe side salad that you'd have, and then the those rolls, and then you wash it down with some nice refreshing fruit tea. Whew. Good stuff. Really good. Classic Southern lunch. Getting very close. And then once we get this done and we get it in the pot, we'll be finishing up the grilled cheese sandwiches pretty quickly, and then we can get it all served up and ready to go. Grilled cheese sandwiches pretty quickly, and then we can get it all served up and ready to go. Okay, we did it. All right, so I'm just gonna honestly just put it right back in this bowl and then dump it back in there. It still has a little bit of soup in there, and why I let it go to waste. So I'm gonna add this. And we'll bring it over here. I'll show you just a second. So we're adding in our chicken thighs now, shredded chicken thighs going into the pot. All right, and then mix it in. So we've got our chicken in now. One more step in the process. We're getting very, 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 very close with that. All right, I'm gonna move this out of the way now that it's got all this nasty fat on it. Okay. Now let's get to work on the sandwiches. Okay, so what we're gonna do with the sandwiches is I'm actually going ahead and I'm going to shift these over so you can now watch me work with the sandwiches. Okay, so we want to start with a cold non-stick pan. You can also do a stainless steel, but we're going to do a non-stick. You want to start cold, excuse me, from the beginning. So we've got that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do two at a time, two sandwiches at a time. So we've got butter side down, put two of them on, butter side down. We're gonna do two at a time, two sandwiches at a time. So we've got butter side down. And then we're gonna turn the heat up to about medium. And we're gonna let that heat up a bit. I'm gonna turn the heat on this. And as that starts to melt, we're going to then add the top to it. And as that starts to melt, we're going to then add So we're basically doing 3 to 5 minutes on both sides. So now put your butter side up, top here. Same thing on this side. 3 to 5 minutes on both sides. So now put your butter side up, here. About 3 to 5 minutes. And then we'll repeat that process. All right, so we'll let our soup just kind of heat up on the other side. And let's see here. Yeah, the dumplings. Yeah, that is good memories. All right. Our soup is pretty much ready, y'all. The only thing left to do, with about a minute to spare, once you're close to serving, we'll add the dill here, and we'll add the green onions, scallions, and then mix it up for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then we'll take it and put it into a smaller pot, enough for about 2 people, and then we'll add however much pasta we think we need to put in there. And the pasta is going to cook within just a couple of minutes, and we'll be ready to serve at that point, because these sandwiches are. Oh shit! Well, you know what? We're going to save time here. We're going to save time. We're just going to do 2, because that didn't work out very well. I was following that blindly. So we're going to, you know what I usually used to do? I'm gonna do it right now. I usually put a little butter in the pan first. I'm gonna do that right now. Take this down a little bit. Could be too, the heat was a little bit too hot, but that's another reason I made extras, was just in case something like that happened, because I never made it before. So we're all good. All right, I'm just gonna put these back in. These 2, and then I'll really watch it. Yeah. Well, that's a couple pieces of wasted bread, but not enough to cry over. All right. I am going to drain some of this. Oh yeah, wow, jeez. It's cooking really fast. The recipe's like, yeah, 3 to 5 minutes on each side, medium heat. Yeah, not so much. But that looks good. I'm good with that. And I think what I'm gonna do too is I'm gonna put it on a different burner. It's a pretty hot burner. Come on, bread. Move over a little bit. And then I'm gonna put that on the back burner, because I think that'll be a safer bet. And we'll just kind of take our time with that. And it's slowly dog, because yeah, I'm not digging that front burner with this. All right. So I'm going to skim off some of this fat, if I can find something to do that with. Let's take a spoon. A little bit of this stuff is okay, but a lot, you don't really want it, because it's just really kind of clouds up your soup, and not necessarily stuff you want to be putting in your body, because I think it's not going to hurt you, but it is kind of like fatty stuff that comes out of the vegetables and the meat, that it's good to just try to get as much of it out as you can. It's kind of a rule of thumb with stocks. Well, I hope you guys are having a good time. It's lasted a little bit longer than I was hoping, as they always do, because cooking is not quick necessarily. It can be, but you know, I like to make these a little more interesting. I like to try different things, and you know, maybe open your eyes to trying something a little bit differently. So, you know, because of that, especially doing a live stream, it takes a little bit longer. But we're gonna learn as we go, and you know, continue to try to make these a little bit more entertaining for you. All right, we're good there. And yeah, so soup's ready to go. Let me check these sandwiches. Yeah, the sandwiches are looking pretty good as well. So I'm gonna turn up the heat just a tad on those. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add the dill. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. I'm gonna move this over here then so you can really see. All right, we're adding in our dill, quite a bit of it, chopped dill. That's gonna add a lot of nice flavor to the soup. All right, and then we're gonna add our scallions to the pot. Right. And then we're gonna add our scallions to the pot. Honestly, I think that's plenty. I don't think we need more than that. Well, actually, you know what? Might as well, because once I get it all mixed up, it's gonna be good. All right, so got a huge infusion of flavor last minute. Keep that in for about 30 seconds to a minute or so. And then we're going to ladle that into a smaller pot that's big enough for two of us, which, let's see if I can find more. Oh, I don't need to do that. I'm just keep them here and cut them up. Don't use a good pan. All right. So I need a ladle. Try to move quickly, guys. It's not always easy. All right. So we're gonna pour in enough for about 2 people. Make sure we get plenty of broth in here too. right. I think that should be good for the two of us for tonight, along with the sandwich. And then we'll have this in here for a little bit more. All right, so next thing you want to do is add in your noodles to the pot. Push this back. Turn that on. Add in enough noodles that you think for about 2 bowls. And this is off heat that we're doing. So let's check that out and see. These noodles cook in pretty quick. Let's get a little more. Let's just go ahead and pour them on there. Might as well. I think I portioned out the right amount. All right, so let me double check real quick if I need to have this on heat or not. This is the final step. All right. Let me go to another control here. Yeah, we're gonna put it on heat. Probably about medium. And I'm just gonna let these cook in with the soup. The purpose of doing a lot of this way is it helps kind of keep things portioned, especially for leftovers. It helps you kind of balance how much stock you're using, how much stock is left over with your soup, and same thing with your noodles. You know, sometimes you can have way too many noodles, and there's never like a perfect. I mean, unless you're using store-bought. What I'm trying to say is, if you do chicken broth this way and you make your chicken stock homemade, you don't always have an exact measurement of how much you're making. So this kind of helps you, based on how much stock you have, it helps you estimate how many noodles and yada 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 that you need each time you do it. So that's kind of the purpose of this. So we're gonna just kind of let this cook through, let the noodles cook enough, and then we'll be ready to serve. Our sandwiches are good. I'm about to slice those up. Got that going? Okay, yeah, I want to slice these up now. All right, so here are our sandwiches. Smaller sandwiches. Ooh, yeah. Nice and cheesy. A different take on grilled cheese, but the same similar effect with a little bit more of a refined, advanced taste, I guess you'd say. We'll see if we like it. We may or may not, I don't know. We'll try it though. All right. We'll see if we like it. All right. Our noodles are probably just a couple minutes away. Time I can get a couple bowls out for us. And a couple sandwiches. All right. Yeah, I need these noodles a little bit longer. So just another couple minutes on that. I need these noodles a little bit longer. I'm still trying to figure out if I like doing it this way, putting the noodles in at the end. It's what the guy that I like to get some of my recipes from recommends that. I don't exactly, I kind of forget why he prefers doing that. I think it's has something to do with the portionings and the balance between the two, but a little bit goofy, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. We're all just learning along the way, learning together. All right. So next week I'm going to be making meatloaf, a homemade meatloaf with garlic mashed potatoes and steamed broccoli. That will be next Wednesday. So you can join in if you'd like for that. I think we're ready now. All right, so let me serve these. Okay, we are ready to rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. We have homemade chicken noodle soup. With some very fancy grilled cheese. We're gonna dive in. I'm gonna take a bite of this grilled cheese, see how it is. With some very fancy grilled cheese. It's good. Very rich. Not bad. Would maybe go a different route with the cheese, but still very good. Had a good time making it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a great week and have a great weekend.